In a lot of books, what happens in chapter 31 of the goal would be the final portion of the story. It would be the finale. It's got everything teed up. You've got a good interpersonal discussion. You've got a big reward. We're going to be in two locations in this book. We kick off things at the 15th floor of the corporate office, the location of the third and fourth chapter with a terrible corporate meeting, and then we're going to close back at the plant. At that 15th floor, Rogo has a meeting with the closest thing the book has to an arch villain, and that's Hilton Smyth, the person who's been promoted under Bill Peach, and Smyth is asked to do a review of Rogo's plant. As part of that review, Rogo walks in and says, "Oh, I'd really like Bill Peach to be here." Smyth, again, I picture the guy as kind of a dastard, Danley dastard or something out of a Bullwinkle and Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoon, you know, twirling his mustache or smoking a cigarette with a long holder, your classic evil villain. And Rogo says, "Oh, is Peach going to be here?" No, we're just doing this, the two of us. And there are some other people in the meeting, and actually does bring up a good point that anytime you're going to have an awkward meeting, bring some other people in there with you. It's always good to have backup. It's always also good to have a witness to what goes on, because sometimes, again, we're not all perfect. Sometimes you're wrong. Smyth just continues to beat on the individual metrics rather than the overall plant performance that Rogo's team is creating. Rogo pushes back and says there's three criteria that are creating the great performance. You know, he's focused on balancing flow, you know, the throughput with demand instead of capacity. If you keep flow balanced with capacity, then you waste too much cash, right? You're overproducing given what the market wants. Focus instead on demand. Focus on that drum and rope system to keep things in cadence in your plant. Second is he needs to really balance incentives at the plant level so you're not creating a bunch of idle work, a bunch of projects that are going to go nowhere. Don't look at personal utilization to create rewards. Otherwise, everyone's going to be busy, and their own busyness will actually create inventory, be that in physical goods or in projects that don't help the company achieve its overall goal. Thirdly, and again, my favorite quote from this chapter, I've mentioned it a couple of times in the past, is that activating a resource and utilizing a resource aren't the same thing. You can activate something all day long. That's not the same thing as utilizing it. This meeting goes back and forth. I think they mentioned it's maybe 3.5 hours, so really a full review. And Hilton Smyth really never buys in and kind of does kind of classic bad guy behavior. He focuses on the vanity metrics. He refuses to prioritize constraints. I always think when you're in a meeting with someone and they won't prioritize things, that's a pretty big red flag. If you can't at least rank what's most important to you, that's a indicator that there are some deeper problems in the organization. And the last thing is he makes the ominous threat. Even though Rogo's plant is performing really well right now, Smyth is full of saying, you know, bad things are going to happen and soon. Bad things are just around the corner. And especially, you know, I'm recording this in January 2021 during all the COVID stuff. It's something we're dealing with now, and a lot of forecasts saying things are going to be bad soon. The meeting wraps up with kind of, there's no legitimate conclusion. They agree to disagree. Smyth is clearly going to write a bad review or a bad report on the plant. So to defend his plant, Rogo goes into Peach's office where instead of being met with pushback, Peach says, "Hey, congrats, I'm promoting you. You're actually going to take over my job." Peach himself is getting promoted. And with that, that's your big reward, right? The payoff from that first chapter when Peach was parked with his Mercedes in Rogo's parking lot to now, this is the journey you would want anyone to go through. Big promotion, and it should be our spike the football moment. We get a little bit more, though, in that Rogo goes back to his plant, gets the opportunity to celebrate with his team, and even puts in a call to Jonah to say, "Hey, I got this big promotion." And with that, Jonah really lays out what we're going to cover in the final 9 chapters, and that's how do you take all these lessons and apply them at the management level when you're over more than just one plant. It's a great book. It's a great chapter. As I say, every episode, every chance that you get to apply the theory of constraints, you can make your own life and the world around you a little bit better, and that's a goal you should have every day.